Oh, hey guys. Boy. What a, filthy ass windshield for one. But, when you're going through salty ass roads, you'll never keep it clean. You can literally stop and clean it like I did, and within 20 minutes, it's just gross again. I mean, you guys have seen the cleanest part. That line is where the wiper stops on the passenger side. But it was, I usually call it blistering cold. I mean, I've definitely been in colder. Like, if you remember back in January 23, I spent 17 days in negative 40 to negative 60 up in North Dakota, Montana. Like, my state of Wyoming was negative 30 to 40, but my town was negative 40 on average about those 2 weeks. Gotta love those Arctic, little blasts that come through, or the vortex, and just sit and sit and sit. But it was, I slept in Worthington, Minnesota last night, right? They're calling for negative 25 by the time I got up, pretty much, right? Around midnight, it was negative 20. Actual temp was negative 5. When I went to bed last night, I ran 2000. So yeah, it was gonna be cold. But really, I was sitting here thinking and listening to some podcasts and thinking, and I was like, oh, I got a perfect idea for video. Because this happens to so many people. It's like usually everybody's first real winter experience is probably going to be brakes freezing. And first, I'm going to say, there's going to be a couple things you can do, but the very first thing, right? Before we even talk about the brakes and process, is have a working air dryer and a filter that is not just fucking full of shit, okay? It doesn't matter what you do to the actual brakes. If your airlines have ice in them, you have a whole different problem. You can still have frozen airlines, even working air dryer and filter, but it's so rare. And no, you don't need to drain your fucking air tanks every day. You do that if you don't have an air dryer and filter. If your air dryer is working properly and your filter is, not full of shit, you will, I can't say never, because it's possible, but I mean, you pretty much will never have to ever drain your tanks. You have to be going through so much moisture that your air dryer can't keep up. Then again, though, if you're going through so much moisture, air dryer can't keep up, it's also not winter. Water in your airline just means your brakes won't work anywhere near as well as they should, because it's air, not water brakes. But that is a whole different subject. Let's say this morning, okay, you're in Worthington, Minnesota, it's negative 25 when you pop up, and you got drum brakes. Because disc brakes, they can freeze, but I think you'll count on one time in your lifetime they'll freeze. And you're more than likely, if your disc brakes are frozen, it's because your pads are so low, they're starting to get metal. The metal plate that holds the pads is more likely to freeze to the rotor than the actual pads to the rotor. So, I'm not going to talk about disc brakes, right? Although that's easy, okay? Here's also the best tool you can have, okay? 2.5 pound mallet, rubber, or not rubber, hammer, actual metal hammer, and a torch. A propane torch, like those little camping torch. Yeah, that's the little light ones you light a cigarette with. One that's probably about 2 pounds. Has the little twisty knob. Turn it on. Yeah, that would probably be my go-to before I even start whacking anything. And let's say your disc brakes are frozen, just heat the fucking rotor up a little bit. You don't need a hot. You don't need a hot. Okay. All you gotta do is real easy, okay? Trailer brake's frozen, push the trailer brake in, sure it ain't released, then go back there, trust me, you'll know when it releases, it'll pop. It'll pop and probably shake the trailer a little bit, okay? We heat the rotor up, if it's drum, heat the drum up a little bit, like I said, you don't have to do much. You'll know. All it has to do is get the melting point. Really, all you gotta do is just ice. Is all it is moisture frozen. So you just need to get to the melting point. You do the top of the shoe. You do not do it directly on the shoe. Too much of a chance you're gonna have grease or oil. Preferably a drum. The drum, the size of the drum is you don't touch the wheel, don't touch the tire, but the size of the drum. That's the preferred spot. If you don't have a torch, then you can always just whack it, but you're sending vibrations. You know, that's how you're breaking ice with vibrations. You actually gotta whack it though. Torch is much quicker. Way quicker. And trust me, when you're underneath the trailer and it's negative 25, it also means there's fucking wind. The sooner you can get in and out from underneath the trailer, the better, because you're gonna be fucking cold. The truck, the truck's a lot harder to get under. You can do it, but a lot harder. I mean, here's my first process of the truck, okay? Before I even commit to going outside underneath the truck, yeah, I have drum brakes in the truck, for now. They've frozen on me twice. Oh, there's a dog. Get off the fucking road, you fucking dog. Look at this fucker. Stupid ass dog. But before I even commit to going underneath laying between the dry tires at a fucking shitty ass angle that gives you no leverage, a whack or torch the drums, now granted, I'm assuming you're loaded, okay? The heavier you're loaded, the better. You use its pretty much physics to your advantage, okay? So like, for example, release the trailer brake, okay? Let's assume that's not frozen, you've already got that. Now push the truck in. Hopefully, there's some ice here. Hopefully the truck or the trailer will kind of come down a little harder on the truck, settle down pretty much, and kind of just pop them themselves. But also, here's what I do too, though. If that doesn't work, you know, leave the truck release and push against the kingpin. Just try to push it, right? So reverse, try to push. Even though you're technically frozen in place, you're trying to have the trailer shift just enough to where just the transmission shifting itself is going to do enough to kind of force the trailer to kind of like rock a little bit to where it's going to just pop it free. And trust me, you'll feel it. It's going to feel like because they'll all pop at the same time. It's going to feel like you got rear-ended or something. Not hard, but it's definitely going to feel like you got a little fucking like ugh. But you go back and forth, you know, just a little bit. Even set your tractor brakes again, release, set, release, you know, back and forth. That will usually work. That worked when it was negative. I had to do that last year in Nebraska around this time, and I think it was like negative 27. I was up on the Highway 20, and I think it was Chadron. You know, I'd also drove through a shit ton of fucking moisture though. There was no way in hell I was gonna get my brakes hot. You know, before I parked. Which that doesn't really work anyways, because if you get your brakes too hot anyways, you're not gonna get all the moisture off anyways, right? Like they have to be hot. You gotta air dry them pretty much. It's just so hard to do, especially when you're driving through so much moisture. And it's cold. It's just so hard to do, right? But there's that. But if that doesn't work, then you got the old fucking bullshit where you got to, you know, like I said, you got to get bundled up and lay between the dry tires. Look at this ice. And do what you did on the trailer. Do not put shit like the rubbing alcohol or fucking hydrogen oxide in your airlines. There is stepping by truck stops and online or whatever that's designed for airlines. The reason why you don't do rubber alcohol or anything that's technically works, but you don't do it because of the rubber. Is it going to hurt if you do it once? No. But if you do it once, you're more likely to do it again, and also generally you're going to put way too much in. That's pretty much what you're going to put way too much in. Why should you listen to me? Well, I just told you what I've done. I mean, it works, period. I mean, it's pretty much common knowledge too. But also, I'm from, like, right now I'm in South Dakota, right? And I pretty much grew up in Wyoming. Kind of have to learn to survive winters. Just like, for example, you know, I mean, you should be taught this anyway in school, but, or when you're getting CDL, is when you park, don't set your trailer brake. Don't. Not if it's frozen, you know. I mean, it's one thing if it's hot, but I mean, don't get in the habit of it. Your brake didn't freeze in minutes. Minutes. It's not like it's hours, it's minutes. It didn't take much. It just has to be cold enough and for that ice to go, boom, frozen. Or the water to go, boom, frozen, because that's already frozen. And it's fine if all the air bleeds out. Honestly, you shouldn't be expecting to have like no fucking air. Because even a brand new truck is gonna struggle to maintain its air and if it's cold enough. You know, if you learn anything from school, things contract when it's cold and expands when it's hot. That's how shit happens. Just like more shit will break when it's hot under a load. That's usually when shit will break, you know, go the big expensive shit. You're blowing coolant hoses, you're blowing turbos, because they're under load, it's hot, they're already expanded, and they're expanding even more now because of the pressure. Just like a lot of things, for example, during those 2 weeks it was negative, you know, well, I'm talking about January 23, okay? The amount of road calls that I was being told from shops are things just snapping, brittle. You know, glad hand, your bundle hoses snapping in one end or another. Just random ass rubber hoses snapping. That's why don't let your hoses get too old. When they start fading, just replace them. Yeah, really, yeah, that's the best way to explain it. Just don't let shit happen in the first place. It won't happen. I mean, it can still happen, but you got a much slimmer chance. But dude, the frozen brakes, yeah, they're not also. You really have to get below zero to really have it be a major issue. Like, when I say major issue, I mean meaning you're more than likely gonna deal with it. And really, I mean, I just had it happen, I think it was, where was I? It was like 2 degrees, and they were slightly frozen, right? But all I did was just put it in reverse and drive, and they popped. They were barely frozen, okay? And I had been in so much rain that day, so it made sense, okay? But it's not, they won't, like, when in Nebraska, that was like a 5-minute process. You know, my going back and forth, right? Part of that is I wasn't on even ground. I was kind of pushing uphill against the trailer, so I think that kind of slowed it down. Because it was a dirt lot in Nebraska with snowpacks and shit, right? Not to mention, like I said, snow and ice back, so I'm also trying to do shit on ground that doesn't want to cooperate with me. Which reminds me, I need to buy like one of those giant rubber chalks or whatever to use. That would have probably helped me. Cause I get it. Nobody wants to go outside underneath the truck or trailer when it's cold. Nobody. I have a fucking airline that's leaking that I already fixed. Like a week ago, a couple weeks ago, and silly me, I forgot that what happened is it just had a cable loom that was too long for some reason. Whenever they fucking put it all over these airlines, they didn't cut it to size, so the airline popped out of it and started rubbing. Well, it's still in there. It's just I for some reason forgot to cut that cable loom down to size. Silly me. And now it's still in there. It just rubbed against it because the cable loom rubbed against the airline, so the airline rubbed against the cable loom. Now it's leaking in the same spot. Whatever. I'll fix it, but kind of hard to do when it's going to be below freezing for 3 days, or like 3 days, and I can maintain the air pressure, right? But I need my fingers for that, and I'm not paying an hour labor plus the fucking like $30 of fittings, you know, these truck stops ones. They want, like, I had to pay $1.10 for one washer from a truck stop. One washer, you know, just a normal little washer. Yeah, I'm not paying these prices, but I'm getting sidetracked. But that's the gist of it, right? And anyways, the more you know, like they said back in G.I. Joe, knowledge is power. Anyways, you guys stay safe out there. Catch you next time. Bye.